The Rangers are still in search of a closer, and so will they find one from outside the organization, or will it be somebody who's already here? We're going to find out soon enough. Hey, welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast crew, joined today by the television voice of the Texas Rangers, Dave Raymond. Dave, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, I wanted to see the other side of the show.
Always great to see you. Yeah, you've been in the other studio. Yep. And this year you said, I'll come, but damn it, I want to be in
the intimate studio.
The smaller, intimate studio. Jeff's joining from home. He's had some minor illness, but fear not, he's a player, and he's playing through pain today. So, Jeff, we wanted to talk about this closer situation, and you and I have done it on the show a few times. As it stands right now today, who's the Texas Rangers closer?
Well, don't throw anything at me, but I would say it's Robert Garcia, just based on the most recent track record and the candidates who are there. You know, you can maybe hope that it's Alexis Diaz, the one-time looked like the long-time future closer of the Reds. That didn't work out, but the Rangers are taking a flyer on him, it appears. Cole Winn is not ready yet. Chris Martin, the Rangers didn't let him try last year when you could make a case that he was probably their best candidate. So I got to say it's Robert Garcia.
Do you like that, Dave?
Well, I'm interested in that. Like, do you think that was the plan, or is the plan per se? You think, Jeff?
I don't know what the plan is. You know, I just think it's to build a cheap bullpen that overachieves, and you know, they've had the success in the past with guys like that, Sean Tolson and Sam Dyson, if you want to go back to the 15 and 16. You know, but it's just hard to do. But I think that's the way they're going to go about it, and maybe stumble upon something, and maybe eventually after a couple months it is like a Cole Winn guy or something like that. But you know, barring an additional free agent acquisition, as things stand right now, I mean, it just looks like it's Robert Garcia.
Yeah, right. That's funny, because the free agent acquisition conundrum here is, well, who the hell is that?
They're gone.
Yeah,
right?
You know, again, unless you can convince David Robertson, and maybe that's the way to get David back on your team. Right, last year he waited until after the All-Star break to come back. He does not love, I think at this age, 40, 41, of the idea of spending a full season doing it anymore. It's just where he is mentally and with his family and everything else. But I wonder if you said to David Robertson, hey, you're our closer. We've got these guys setting you up. We think this lineup can be good and score some. We think you could, and we'll pay you, you're going to have to pay him probably pretty well. I wonder, to me, that's the one guy that remains out there that would compel me to loosen the purse strings a little bit.
Yeah, because it is interesting. There were a lot of closers out there.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, the Tigers got two.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and they already had one, right? Yeah. So, I mean, there were a bunch of closers out there. Pete Fairbanks was the last off the board, a former Ranger. But there were a bunch of them out there. And so, we talk about the plans they might have. And you asked Jeff, is that the plan for Robert Garcia? It appears none of those other closers fit in their plan. Now, was that financial?
Right.
Or was that stuff? Or what was it?
Well, so that's the other thing, right? Is there so to Jeff's observation, right? Okay, yeah, they gave Robert a chance last year a couple of times. He really wants it. He's talked about it. But is that your answer out of necessity, or is that your answer because you had a thought toward the end of the year, like, yeah, I think this might be the way to go? Those are two very different viewpoints or lenses. And I just wonder, because then there's the question of people have suggested over the years, it's just 3 more outs, anybody can get maybe committee, whatever. But I've yet to see a team make that work. I don't know. I mean, I I think if your goal, if your intent is to really be a team that pushes for the postseason, at some point you have to have a closer. So maybe, as we continue to all fumble around for an answer here, maybe the idea is you go Robert Garcia and you see how it plays out, and you get you to the All-Star break, and you're either happy with it and you continue with it, or you're not, and you make a move
to get David Robertson.
Or to trade for somebody. I don't know. Maybe that's how it goes down. But as it currently stands, you're gonna have to trade something to get a closer.
Well, and Jeff, the thing about it, as we all know, a closer, like, it's so much mentality, right? For a while there, we were like, oh my gosh, look at this Jose Leclerc. He's got this great pitch and he's got this great stuff. And then poor kid. I mean, he just kind of lost it upstairs. And then I feel like it just like was like a dark cloud over him he couldn't get rid of. You worry about that with a young guy like a Robert Garcia.
Yeah, some of those blown saves he took really, really hard afterward,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. Like he couldn't talk to you basically after the game. It was like he just was too wound up and emotional. And we've made the comparison before. It's got to be like a cornerback. You're out there on an island and you may give up a big play, but you got to go back in the next play. Well, if you're a closer, you got to go in the next day and be ready to do it. And maybe he wanted it too badly, and wanted to hang on to it and keep it. Well, I don't think being hard on yourself is the way to do it. I think just going out and doing what got you to the point where they thought, hey, he could close games. That's the way to do it. But you look at what's left on the market, and it's Sir Anthony Dominguez, who pitched in the playoffs for the Blue Jays. Michael Kopech's an interesting guy because he can throw so hard, but he's always hurt. Danny Coulomb, I don't think he's closer material, right? Liam Hendricks would be a pretty high risk at this point, I'd think. But I don't know if Chris Young wakes up tomorrow and says, by God, I want a guy who has some saves on his stat sheet. Well, Liam Hendricks has a lot, but he also has a lot of other things, injuries and such. So I don't know, and I don't think you can count on, everybody was so excited about Emiliano Teodo, and he just didn't have a good season. He was hurt. So I don't know where you go internally. So do you do the matchups and the pockets, try to find the right three batters for the right pitcher at the right time? Well, it just seems like a lot of that can go wrong. It only takes one or two bad at bats in the seventh inning to screw up your whole plan for the ninth. So Bruce Bochy always wanted to have a guy. Maybe they forced Garcia at times. I don't know, but you kind of look around at what they've got, and right now, just the way the roster is constructed and the uncertainty with some of these guys that they've acquired, I just got to think that it's Garcia.
A lot of people in our chat over the days and weeks, really through the offseason, have said, Dave, how about you convert Rocker? Thoughts?
Well, I mean, as Jeff was talking right there, I was like, I wonder if there is some guy who they think, like Rocker or Latz or somebody like that, who they feel like, might be the right personality and right stuff profile to make that transition. Again, if your intent is to come out and be a contender, generally speaking, I feel like you have a pretty good sense of who that guy is going to be. Whether it's an established veteran closer or you've got somebody whose stuff is just electric and is going to just handle it really well. And as currently constructed, we don't see that guy. So, no. I think it does put at least that speculation in play, right? I don't know that that's realistic or not. I don't know it's a great idea or not. My suspicion is that's not something they're entertaining.
No.
But then again, you can't be surprised by anything.
No. But it really, and Jeff, you're, so plugged in, it goes against, like when you draft a starting pitcher that high, they don't want to sort of throw in the towel on him this quick, right? Rocker, I mean.
No, and he really hasn't had a chance. He was great in college, had the draft issue with the Mets and the ensuing medical concerns. Then the Rangers draft him and he blows out. So then he goes through Tommy John and comes back and everybody's like, oh my God, look how good this guy is. He makes his major league debut that season, and you know everybody's like, this is it. We got a stud here. What had he thrown in the minors? 40 innings.
Right.
It's like there's no experience there. And so then when Bradford and Gray were hurt last spring, Rocker was forced into the rotation, and he had a terrible spring. He was no good, and he salvaged it, I guess, with a decent performance in his last start in Arizona, and I guess that's what they were looking for. But he didn't come to camp prepared. His delivery was all out of whack. He was in better shape, which was his offseason focus, but the delivery was just all screwy. And the Rangers thought when he got to camp that he was already 3 weeks behind, and suddenly this guy's your number 5 starter. And then you see the incident in Tampa where he didn't cover the base, or didn't get there in time. They felt he needed game experience, and so going just by that, they want to get this guy experience because they believe he can be a great starter. I think that when they talk about their strength, pitching as their strength, they include starting pitching as their strength. They include Rocker in that conversation because they believe that he's going to be a guy, but it just isn't going to happen. He has to play the game and get some game experience.
You said earlier, Dave, it's only 3 out. You just got to get those
Good 3 outs.
3 outs. That's all you got to do, like everybody else does throughout the course of the game. And we've heard I remember even Boat saying, sometimes, that situation in the 7th inning, that's a higher leverage situation, and it is. I mean, we know that. 6th inning, 5th, 4th, anytime, right? You can have a high leverage situation. There's still something different.
Yeah.
Mentality-wise, isn't there, about being a closer?
I think there is. Now, certain pitchers over the years would scoff at the notion.
Yeah.
But they were probably never closers. I think there is. And I think one of the bigger pieces of it is that ability to come back tomorrow, good or bad, however you did today, but to come back again tomorrow and pitch with that same level of intensity and stuff. Like, you're physically asking a lot of that arm. And so there is, in some cases, probably just something anatomically or whatever that allows a guy to come back, repeat consistently, and achieve whatever the velocities or spins or whatever is necessary to be effective. And that's just not a given. I mean, you see guys go start to start or appearance to appearance in the bullpen where you're like, there are days where, he doesn't have it. And we can excuse it, right? It happens, and you can excuse it. It's like, hey, today was that day, and he'll probably get a day or two now, and he'll get himself right again. Okay. But you don't really have that luxury with your closer. So that's, to me, kind of that's why experience there is so important. And just that confidence and knowledge that this guy knows how to do the job. So it's 3 more outs, but it's a very different 3 outs.
Yeah,
man.
It's a different animal. So the Rangers are still in search of a closer. And so will they find one from outside the organization, or will it be somebody who's already here? We're going to find out soon enough. We appreciate Dave as always.
Thank
Jeff,
you.
we hope you get better and get well soon. And we appreciate you hanging out with us. Don't forget, we're here every day at 1 o'clock, basically all through the off season. 1 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday, on the DLLS Rangers podcast. We'll see you next time.